Welcome to the Life Project. I'm Christie. There comes a time when you cross over from being perceived as someone with a passing interest in a topic to someone whose personhood is linked to that topic or to a thing or to a place. Now, I'm not sure when that point of time is, or even if it is a point of time as opposed to a road that you cross or a title that's bestowed. But whether or not I orchestrated it to be so, I'm beginning to realize that for me, that's now occurring. Now, I wish I could look you in the eye and say that the first time that I was called Power to the People Girl or Dark Angela Davis, that it didn't bother me, that I proudly and immediately embraced those terms. But it took me a minute. Not a long minute, but a minute nonetheless. Because as I'm sure that you can appreciate, we are members of a society that has a stigmatized view of any prolonged conversation, discussion, or pursuit that is focused on the topics of subjugation, inequity, discrimination, or disparity. So to focus on those issues, some see as an embracing of victimhood, being stuck in the past, or just making others uncomfortable. But as the title of this show will tell you, we all get a project called life. And we make individual choices how we complete that project based on the tools that we use, the methodologies we embrace, and the information we seek out. So in my project, I am at the part of the assignment in which I'm being faced with making others uncomfortable by being too black, or to some, not black enough. So based on my inbox, I realize I'm not the only person going through this. So I thought I'd share with you some of these focused observations and my responses to them. One is, Max, do you have to make everything about race? I mean, why do we have to talk about race all the time? No, I don't have to talk about race all the time, and everything is not about race. But my racial identity does color, shape, and contextualize my American experience. And not only does it do that for me, but in part, it defines how others experience theirs. Race is inextricably linked and intertwined in the fabric of this country, and to deny its role will not expel it. Understand, this is not only a conversation about skin color, because along with race and the inequities, both historical and present day associated with it, there are a number of intersecting marginalized identities. None surmount race, in my opinion, but they do color the experience. So if you're listening to me or any other informed or intelligent conversation about race in this country, and you don't also hear a story about systemic and systematic economic subjugation, you're not hearing me. If you hear me talk about health statistics of people of African descent, and you're not hearing a conversation about an active engagement as well as a passive apathy about the health of an entire fraction of this country's citizens, most of whose ancestors slaved to build, both figuratively and literally, this country, as a matter of fact, the entire global economy, you're not hearing me. Further, let me ask this. When has not talking about something, not looking at the causes, the effects, the impacts, and developing strategies of response ever rectified anything? I mean, try this. The next time you're hungry, don't eat. And I don't mean skip lunch, I mean stop eating. Not one bite. But don't say a word about it. Okay, maybe you can mention it the first time you feel a hunger pain. And if we see someone dying at 4 o'clock in the morning from starvation, you can say a couple of words. But other than that, please, wait until your designated month to have a conversation about hunger. And if we're having a disagreement and it's a valid point, don't pull the hunger card. It's not fair. Now I ask you, as your bones weaken and your body starts to break down its own muscle fiber and tissue to maintain the function of vital organs, when exactly would you consider it the appropriate time to discuss your situation? Even if you weren't the one engaging in the experiment and you saw it happening to people that look like you, that look like your family members, when would be the appropriate time to speak? And what would your reaction be? Would you eat differently? Would you grocery shop differently? Even as you watched other people across the street, across your town, or across the country, still experiencing the hunger that you thought, that you had been taught was no more, you saw them still suffering with hunger. Exactly how much talking, how much learning, how much idea sharing would be too much? I would venture to say that you would not tell those children that you see hungry that it was too much to talk about it. I'm willing to wager that not only would you want to feed them for today, but you would find it cruel and inhumane to not allow them to grieve and celebrate the lives of those who never made it to a day of food, or those whose hunger remains still the case while others eat. So, do I have to talk about it all the time? No, not all the time. But as long as my race, how I'm perceived in some sectors or not even seen as legitimate in others, is still a factor that could relegate me to a position of social, economic, cultural, professional, and psychological secondary status that can result in a significant loss of life, whether it be quality of life or physical life, now is as good a time as any. So when you ask me, do we have to talk about race again? I submit to you, in this country and all over the globe, we never stopped. I'm Max Christie, and this is The Life Project.